Hello children.
This is a quiz which is made in Quizalize, and it's about pollination. The first one is true or false. In flowering plants, both the male and female gametes are non-motile. That means they will not move. Now, if it's male gametes, they're present in pollen grain. Female gametes, that's the egg. Yeah, they're non-motile. That's true. And if you have marked it as true, your answer is correct. And we'll go to the next question. What is pollination? So these are the different options. Pollination means a feeding of pollen grains or transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma, or transfer of pollen grains from pistil to anther, or dispersal of pollen grains into air. So what would be the correct answer? The correct answer would be transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. And that answer is correct. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma within the same flower is called as what? If it's within the same flower, it's called as, is it autogamy or cynogamy or gatenogamy? Now it's inside the same flower. So if it is within the same flower, pollination takes place, then it's called as autogamy. And the answer is correct. Question. Complete autogamy is rare in a normal open flower. Why is it so? So in the normal open flower, what is the case? So this is the pistil and here goes the stamen and it's an open flower. So autogamy can take place, that is from this anther, the pollen grains can fall into the stigma of the same flower. But there are also chances that if there's a flower nearby, their pollen grain also can fall on the stigma of this flower, which means completely autogamy will be rare if it's in a normally open flower. That's because cross pollination can also take place since the flower is open and exposed. Autogamy in open flowers do not require synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity. Synchrony means same time. So is it not necessary that there should be pollen release and stigma becoming receptive same time? Is it true or false? It's open flower. So since it's an open flower, I feel it should be in synchrony. Otherwise, cross pollen also can land on the stigma. So there should be synchrony if it's open flowers. Means both the pollen release and stigma receptivity should happen at the same time. So it's true. But the question is, do not require. So that means it's false. It requires. And the answer is correct. Next is, which of the following flowers are invariably autogamous? Means fully autogamous. Means every time self-pollination only will happen. Is it cleistogamous flowers or chasmogamous flowers? Let's see what is cleistogamous and what is chasmogamous. Now, if they are cleistogamous flowers, the stigma as well as the stamens, the pistil, everything will be fully covered. They never open at all. That is cleistogamous. But if it is a chasmogamous flower, the petals are always open. They are open, which means in chasmogamous flower, there are chances that cross-pollination also can happen. So which of the following flowers are autogamous completely? And the answer would be cleistogamous flowers. And the answer is correct. The answer is cleistogamous. Viola, oxalis, and commelina produce which of the following flowers? Is it chasmogamous flowers? Or do they produce cleistogamous flowers? Or are they producing both types of flowers, both chasmogamous and cleistogamous? So the answer would be, actually in their flowers, if this is the axis, the flowers that is growing near the bottom, that is at the base of the stem, they have cleistogamous types of flowers, cleistogamous. Whereas the ones which are there above the ground, they are bearing chasmogamous flowers, that is open flowers. That means Viola, oxalis, and commelina produces both chasmogamous as well as cleistogamous flowers. So that would be the answer. And the answer is correct. Which of the following produce assured seed set, even in the absence of pollinators? So is it cleistogamous flowers or chasmogamous flowers? Even without pollinators, they can pollinate self and produce seeds. So the answer would be which one? It would be cleistogamous. Why? Because it never opens at all and the pistil as well as the stamens are close to each other. So obviously it will be cleistogamous flowers. And the answer is correct. The next one. Which of the following is a kind of cross-pollination, but they are genetically similar to autogamy? Is it autogamy or geitonogamy or xenogamy? What is the answer for this question? Let's solve it. Let's try to solve it. Now, it's a kind of cross-pollination. Here we can see two flowers are present, but they're present attached to the same axis or stem. And then the pollen grain from the anther over here goes and fall on the stigma of another flower. It's another flower, so it's a kind of cross-pollination. But it is still genetically similar to autogamy. Why? Because both are found on the same plant. So that's why it is a kind of autogamy, but what has happened here is cross-pollination. So what would be the correct terminology for this? It would be geitonogamy. So geitonogamy looks like cross-pollination, but genetically they are similar to autogamy. And the answer is correct. In which of the following types of pollination, pollen grains are light and non-sticky? So light and non-sticky comes in whether it is wind or insect or water. See, wind, because they have to be in the air. That's why pollen grains should be light-weighted and they should be non-sticky. So the answer is wind-pollinated flowers. The next, the tassels in corn cob, what are they? Are they flowers in inflorescence, or are they stamens inside the anther, or feathery stigma and style? So in a corn cob, you can see the male flowers will be there at the tip, at the top, and the female flowers can be seen at the basal part, and they bear feathery tassels like this. And this later on becomes the corn cob. This is later on becoming the corn cob, which you cook and eat. So these feathery tassels, what are they? They are stigma and style. So they're feathery in order to catch the pollen grains that liberates off from the male flowers. So the answer is feathery stigma and style. And the answer is correct. OSZETAR. This is a jumbled word of marine sea grass. So marine sea grass is also called as this plant. So we have to unjumble this. So how will we write it if it is not jumbled? We have to unscramble them. So we can take the Z first. ZOSTERA. Zostera is one of the example of water pollinated plants. So we click and see here ZOSTERA, and the answer is correct. Marine seagrass is Zostera. Next question. Categorize the following aquatic plants into water pollinated and insect pollinated. So here all these plants, they grow inside water, but not all aquatic plants are water pollinated. They can be insect pollinated too. So which all will become insect pollinated, which all will become water pollinated? We'll just see that. So water pollinated examples are Vallisneria and Hydrilla, and one more, that is Zostera. And if it is insect pollinated, the examples will be water hyacinth. Why? Because water hyacinth bears colored flowers. So they're colorful means it's to attract the insects. And one more example here is which one? Water lily. It will also be colored in order to attract the insects. Pollen grains are long, ribbon-like with a mucilaginous covering in what type of pollinated flowers? Is it a wind-pollinated flower or insect pollinated or water pollinated? See, water pollinated flowers will have long ribbon-like pollen grains. Why? Because they have to float inside the water. And they will also have mucilaginous covering in order to prevent that wetting. So here the answer would be water pollinated flowers. Flowers pollinated by which of the following secrete foul odors? So all the flowers are not sweet smelling. they might smell bad too. And that is to attract which of the following agents? Is it wind? Is it water, butterflies, or flies and beetles? The answer is flies and beetles. So foul odored flowers are to attract flies and beetles. What type of floral reward is provided by Amorphophallus and Yucca flowers to attract pollinators? See, floral rewards means there are some gifts provided by the flowers to the pollinating agents in order to get themselves pollinated. So some flowers provide nectar, some gives pollen grain, and what does Amorphophallus and Yucca provide? What reward do they provide to get attractive to pollinators? So the answers here are safe place to lay eggs, nectar, or pollen grains. So Amorphophallus and Yucca, they actually give safe place to lay eggs to the pollinators. So when the insects come to lay eggs, they will also end up pollinating those flowers. Now sometimes it happens that pollinators, they come and consume the nectar without bringing about pollination. Then what will they be called as? So since they are consuming the nectar without bringing about any favor to the flowers, then they are robbers. So the answer is that they are called nectar robbers. The quiz is completed and the score goes 170 because there were actually 17 questions. Thank you, children. If you have any doubts, you can write in the comments. That would be explained nicely later.